Happy Sunday, everybody. Let's see, there we go. Here we are, and today we are going to make Christmas cookies. So, a couple of things about Christmas cookies that are keto. So, first of all, at any time of year, snacking is not the best idea. And it's really easy to overindulge. So, really pay attention to what you're doing and how many carbs you're having, and you can hopefully avoid a little bit of holiday fun that you have to worry about getting rid of again on New Year's Day or in the new year. Okay, so the first thing I want to do with you guys today is we are going to weigh our bowl. And this is important because if you weigh your bowl, so turn your scale on, let it zero, and then weigh your bowl. Now we know that this bowl weighs 793 grams. The fact that it weighs 793 grams means we're going to be able to portion our cookies easily just by leaving the scale or the bowl on the scale. Now these are going to be gingerbread cookies, and this is using my latest release. This is my TSL Organics gingerbread spice, and so we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. If you are not a fan of gingerbread, that's okay. You can just leave the spice out. You can add cinnamon instead. You can add pumpkin pie spice, apple pie spice. You pick whatever it is that you want to add. Once it's in your kitchen, it is your rules. Okay, so this recipe is quick and easy, and we're just going to measure today. Usually I have everything measured out, but I thought today we are going to measure everything in the bowl so you can see how easy this is. Now I have a bag of almond flour, and the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to measure 96 grams of almond flour. So I have managed to make a boo-boo already. There we go. Zero the scale. So once you know how much your bowl weighs, you can zero the scale and then measure all of your ingredients into that bowl or into another bowl. It's up to you. Okay, if you are new here, say hi. If you're not new, say hi. I love knowing that there are people here. Good morning, Mom. Okay, so here we go. 96 grams of almond flour. If you are baking and it's keto, please use a scale. It's important if you want everything to be consistent. Yeah, well, I thought I was over, and I'm not quite there yet. If you want everything to be consistent, it's important that you are doing it by the gram. Half a cup is not necessarily the same every time you measure it. Now, this almond flour you can buy at, let me show you here. This almond flour you can buy at Costco. It is absolutely the best deal that I have found on almond flour. You can also get the coconut flour that I'm using. So we have 96 grams of almond flour, 24 grams of coconut flour. Now, if you have anybody who has allergies in your house, you might want to use different spoons. I'm not too terribly worried. This is my own bag of coconut flour, so I'm not worried too much about cross-contamination. So we want 24 grams, and you can measure this into a separate bowl. There we go. Okay, that is that. This just comes together so quick and easy. Now we want 80 grams. Now again, How sweet do you want your cookies? Who are you serving them to? I'm going to add, zero my scale again, and I'm going to add 80 grams of granular erythritol. Now, because we're baking with this, we don't need to use the powdered stuff. And the powdered stuff is a little more expensive. There we go, 80 right on the nose. The powdered stuff is more expensive, and it makes zero difference in this recipe. When you're baking with it, then you don't need to worry about it. If you are making a drink with it or something that is liquid, then you need to worry about it a little bit more. Oh. And sorry, I just had to grab something out of the oven really quick. Okay, so here we have, let's just move this over here. Okay, I am not as organized as I usually like to be, but that's okay. I'm rarely ever organized. Make sure that everything that you add in here is stirred in really well. So we're doing the dry ingredients first. So we've got the erythritol. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And make sure, please make sure, that your baking powder has no lumps in it. I don't care if my almond flour has a couple of lumps. We can deal with that, but you don't ever want your baking powder to have lumps. And if you are still buying baking powder in the store, please stop. The baking powder that you buy in the store is filled with cornstarch. And if you are trying to stay true to keto, it is expensive. A little more expensive to make your own, but it is so much better for you because you're not adding a bunch of cornstarch. Okay, the next thing that we need, and this, I ordered this on Amazon, and this is xanthan gum, and we're going to add 2 teaspoons of xanthan gum. Okay, and this, I mean, this is 10 mils if you're using your teaspoons, or 1 teaspoon. I usually measure things in imperial. So my generation was the only generation that got to learn both imperial and metric, because metric came into Canada when I was in grade 5 and grade 6. Okay, so we have xanthan gum and we have baking powder, and the next thing we are going to add is just a wee bit of salt. So we're going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to mix this all up, and then the last thing that is going to make this all yummy and wonderful is 2 teaspoons of TSL Organics gingerbread spice. So about 5 grams. So if you're weighing it, 5 grams seems to be, for me, the magic number. And I'm going to sift my spices as well, because I want it in here evenly. Now, whether you are making gingerbread houses or just you want a soft gingerbread cookie, you can use this for anything. And because we're not adding raw flour in here, you can also do a bit of a taste test to see if it's sweet enough, spicy enough. Okay, we'll set that out of the way. And we'll get this all mixed up. Okay, those are the dry ingredients. So 5 grams of TSL Organics gingerbread spice. It's a nice mild gingerbread. This is not the ginger snap cookies that have a real bite to them. You could add more and make it that way. That would be entirely up to you. Okay, now, next on our list is 1 egg. And since I'm putting it in the bowl first, I'm not cracking it in a separate bowl. And then 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. So this kind of helps break the egg down a little bit. And I didn't measure, pardon me, I didn't measure or weigh the apple cider vinegar because I'm using a teaspoon for that. And then a teaspoon of vanilla. Now the vanilla, you can change that. You can use maple flavoring. You can use whatever you like. I'm using vanilla because it goes beautifully with the gingerbread cookies. Okay, now we're just going to beat this up to make sure it's all nice and incorporated. We made sure all of our dry ingredients were well mixed together. Now, just because I had cream in my coffee again this morning, so I've got that frog in my throat. But I gotta tell you, it was worth it. Coffee this morning was wonderful. Okay, so just because something is keto does not mean that you can just go crazy and have as much as you want. I would love it if that were true, but it sadly is not. Now we're going to scrape this bowl, make sure that we get all of the egg and all of the vanilla into our dry ingredients. And one of the things that I like about this, because it has coconut flour in it, the coconut flour is incredibly absorbent. I'm just going to set that there, and we'll start mixing this. And because coconut flour is so absorbent, you end up with a really firm dough, which is awesome because it means you can roll it out and you can use cookie cutters with it and you can make gingerbread houses. And so the real trick to this is making sure that you've got that coconut flour. You can try it just using almond flour if you want. I haven't because I really wanted the coconut flour to be in there absorbing all of the stuff. Okay, and then you mix it. You're kneading it. So because it's Christmas time and we need baking. So these are going to be going on a trip with me to see some of our grandchildren, 2 of our grandchildren. Oh, okay. Now, this takes a little while to get it incorporated. You don't want to stop. So I have some of this that is made and it's been sitting for a little bit, but this, I'm going to keep going with this and make sure that all of this flour is in there because I want that coconut flour to be absorbing all of the ingredients equally. If you set it aside, that is not going to be how it works. So you definitely want to make sure that you have everything incorporated in here. And then you can use a rolling pin. You can do whatever you like to. Now you can see what a firm dough this is. You could even use this as a gingerbread or any other type of crust. If you're making something that you want a crust for, you can use this. And it is delicious. So one of the things that I am making this Christmas is some butter tart squares, and I made 1 batch and added caramel flavoring to it, and they weren't traditional Canadian butter tart squares. They were caramel squares. They were delicious, but they weren't butter tarts. So next time I will use vanilla. Now you can see what an amazingly firm ball we have with this dough. So it's awesome for rolling out. And if you find that it's a little bit too dry, the coconut flour has absorbed a little bit too much of the moisture, don't worry about it. You can add a little bit of water or a little bit of butter and just work the butter in. And so that is our cookie dough. And then if you put the scale or the bowl back on the scale, put the dough in there, you're going to know, if you zero the scale and then you take a little ball of cookie dough. Now that says I have 11 grams. So how big do you want your cookies to be? So about 20 grams is, I find, what is, now that's 18. We'll take just a wee bit more. And you can zero the scale every time. And that is 21 grams of cookie dough. And we can take that cookie dough and just squish it out into a round. Make sure your edges are fairly even, otherwise you will have cookies that are way brown on the outside and not cooked on the inside. So keep in mind that this dough, if you want a firm gingerbread, if you're building a keto gingerbread house, you want this dough rolled really flat and very even. And once you get that all done, you will have beautiful Christmas cookies. Now these, you can tell, I just formed them very quickly with my hands and put them in the oven. But this is a wonderful recipe, whatever spice you choose to put in it or not put in it. You just want cloves, you just want nutmeg, you do it your way. And then I made these a little bit thicker because I wanted them to be kind of chewy and not hard like a gingerbread house wall would be. Now these, when I finish making them, just so you know, they're not quite cooled off yet, but they are all going to have some little stripes of oh, lost my words. Totally lost my words. They're going to have little stripes of cream cheese icing on them. So these, whoops, are lovely. And these are going to allow you and your family and your guests to enjoy something that is grain-free, sugar-free, gluten-free. It is wonderful. And I keep saying it, and you guys need to really think about this. Keto is not about giving up what you love. It is about finding new, delicious ways to have it. So, from our house to yours, you have a very Merry Christmas. Reach out to people that you haven't spoken to for a while. It's going to enrich your life every bit as much or more as it does theirs. And make sure that you are with family, friends, whoever it is that needs you, and whoever you need. And we are going to do the same in our house. Now, I am just going to be stepping away from the camera for a couple of weeks. I will be back in January, so watch for that. And in the meantime, have a very Merry Christmas. Make some gingerbread cookies. And if you are looking for TSL Organics gingerbread spice, you know how to get hold of me. Send me a message on here, or come to the Lacombe Farmers Market on Thursday from 4 till 8, or on Wednesday from 3 to 6 in Wetaskiwin. So if you're in Alberta, that's how you can find me. I would love to see you. Please bring me a hug, and I will talk to you next year. Bye for now.